Looks like we're going to have 3 seasons in one day here in mid-March in Detroit. And what a better way to take a look at Honda's signature car. It's the car that's pretty much carried them through all the years. We're going to have a look at the 2013 Honda Accord today here on Rumblestrip.NET and 10-minute test drive. So one of the things that you've heard of late is that Honda has lost its mojo. Honda used to be an innovator. It had a lot of leading technology. It was a, well thought of company. Well, somewhere about 5-6 years ago, maybe a little longer, Honda started playing it very safe with everything. Everything from their engineering to their styling to the level of equipment that they were including in their cars. And it's really cost them. They have lost a number of buyers, a bit of market share, and a lot of people looking at their vehicles going, wow, that's really average. Now, one of the things that Honda always did was they did average cars exceptionally well. And what I mean by average is the kinds of cars that people are interested in owning. Family 4-door cars or small 4-door cars, compact and mid-sized cars that were very dependable, got good gas mileage, didn't have never had issues. And to a point, Honda still does that in that their cars are very dependable and have few issues. But the market has sort of not only caught up with Honda, but really gotten ahead of Honda. One of the cars that was highly anticipated was one of their most important cars, and that is the Accord. So the latest Accord is what we're driving here today, and we've had a week with it. And it's the first Honda that we've driven in a very long time, and really I'm trying to remember the last Accord I ever drove, and I can't, to be honest with you. So this has been a different experience for us. Came into it with medium expectations because initially, when it came out, was pretty meh about the whole thing, to be honest with you. And yet a lot of the feedback I heard from other journalists was, hey, it's pretty good. Honda's got something here. And to a point, I see what they're saying. But I still have some issues with it, and we'll get to that. First off, styling. Okay, Hondas have never been cutting edge in styling, for the most part. Well, they were never cutting edge, but they had some style. The Honda Accord had become very bland, and to my eye, it still is, although it's a little better. This generation is a little better than last generation. What this car has become is very large, to be honest with you. One thing that we really noticed, and especially when we had some friends and we went out for dinner, was that there was a ton of room in the back seat. The rear passengers, or excuse me, the front passenger seat is adjusted for someone who was 6'3", and yet someone who was 5'11" still could sit behind them very comfortably. Didn't have to tuck their feet underneath or have their knees banging on the back of the seat. So that's really well done. I mean, there's plenty of room in here. Very much a 5-passenger car, 4-passenger with extreme comfort. The driver's cockpit here is good. The seats have a decent level adjustment, tilt and telescoping steering wheel, and but as with most cars, I wish the steering wheel would come back just another 3 or 4 inches and give me the position that I really want. But that's me wanting a particular driving position. Controls on the wheels are fine. The center console is a little confusing. There's some redundancy in buttons. There's buttons where they're touch screen to operate the second screen. I still, even after a week, I'm not sure what I think about that. The materials in the interior are really a mixed bag, to be honest with you. The steering wheel and the dash are good. You know, the materials are decent. On the doors, they're not bad. There's soft touch material. However, what the material that's on the doors and really on the seats, it's, I don't want to call it leather because I don't believe that it is, but what it is very industrial grade. It'll last forever, I'm sure it will, but there is no feeling of luxury or pretense of even luxury at it. It's very utilitarian, and as I say, industrial utilitarian. It's all right. It's very slidey though. There's not a ton of grip in the material. You're not going to go sliding around, but it doesn't exactly lock you in place either. And to me, that's a kind of a big detractor, especially when you look at what's available in its competitive class, whether that's Optima, whether that's Camry, whether that's Fusion, or the host of other vehicles that this competes against. Altima, Altima more than Maximum. So that's, to me, is an issue. It's a pretty glaring issue. Can you live with bland exterior styling? Yeah, you can. A lot of people don't want to make a statement with their vehicle, and this is a perfect car for that, especially from the exterior styling. Blends in really well. However, if you do any amount of driving, you're spending your time in the interior, and like I said, it's not that it's unpleasant. It's very open, very airy, but the materials give you just not a special feeling. You kind of wonder where they're saving money, or if that was one of the areas they were looking to save money in. Out on the road, the Accord drives really well. We had the choice of getting a V6 with a manual. That would be the enthusiast choice. But what we chose to go with is what we thought 80-85% of Accord buyers are going to go with, and that's the 2.4 liter four-cylinder with the CVT transmission. Now, for the most part, this CVT is pretty good. I'll be honest with you, it's not bad. It does have some droning issues when you put your foot into it, but for normal everyday driving, it's quite good. And on the highway, it really keeps the revs down, which should help for mileage. Now, to talk about mileage, the Accord is supposed to get, off the top of my head now because I don't have the numbers handy, but about 26 in the city and 35, 36 on the highway. A lot of times, what a lot of journalists do, and myself included, is rely on the inboard trip computers to tell you what your mileage is getting. And what we'll do, especially on a highway run, is we'll get up to speed and reset it and run anywhere from 30 to 70 or 80 miles sometimes, and get a reasonable estimation of what your highway mileage will be. Well, with the system that's set up in the Accord, you can't really reset. You can have your current and your previous and your instant, but your current can't be reset. You can't just click a button and it zeroes it out. It will literally go from when you start the car to when you stop the car, and you can't zero it out. So we've tried to start the car, get on the highway as quickly as possible, and run some distance, but still it's not right. And so the point of that whole dissertation is that the most that we've seen from this car on the highway is about 32 and some change. Now, does that mean it won't get 36, or it isn't getting 36? Without filling up, doing a loop, filling up again, and really coming down on some exact numbers, it's hard to say, and we haven't had the time where we could do that in our week with the car. It seems to get pretty good mileage. Is it better than what anyone else is doing? No, I think it's pretty much in line. So if you shouldn't feel bad about buying this thinking it's not going to get good mileage. It seems to get about what everyone else does. So acceleration is good. Again, very surprising. The motor, I'm not going to say has low end torque, but it's not like it's all on the top end either. All the power's on the top end. You put your foot into it and it'll go. Again, it's Honda. It's the Honda Motor Corporation. So, not surprising that the motor in this is relatively solid. And the CVT, as we said, is not bad. We're going to jump on the highway here. We're rolling at about 50 miles an hour. Jump on it a little bit just to show you what it sounds like when you get on it. It quote unquote gears down and then drops some, and it feels more like a CVT. So it does a good job of kind of seeming to split the difference between a normal transmission and a CVT, where a lot of CVTs are just rubber bandy, very rubber bandy. This one feels and is programmed much more like a conventional automatic transmission, and that's well done by Honda. I really think that's pretty good. One bit of interesting, I don't want to say technology, but just interesting kit in this is when you signal for a right-hand turn, right? The center display has got it so there's a camera on the right side mirror there that shows you what's going on the right side of your car, with some marks that indicate where the bumper is, and then 1 car length and 2 car lengths behind you. It's kind of cool. And then there's even a toggle button on the wheel, or excuse me, on one of the stalks here, that you can just turn it on. So it's kind of neat. And if you have ever drag raced and bracket raced, you know that could be a cool thing to do if you're a bracket racer, especially if you've got someone chasing you. Those of you who do will know what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't, time to move along. So all in all, what do we think about this 2013 Honda Accord? You know, it's a solid car. I can see why it's been very popular for so long and why it continues to sell so well. For the day-to-day commute, everyday uses, it's very solid. You know, it doesn't do anything badly. It does most things very well. As we said, a lot of people aren't interested in making a statement. They just want something that's solid, reliable, dependable, offers good space, and they don't have to think about it. And that's really what this Accord does very well. You don't have to think about it. It just does it. Not even thinking from an enthusiast standpoint, are there things we'd like to see differently? And the answer to that is very much yes. Again, as good as the car is, as it rides well, it's relatively quiet, just the use of materials we think misses the mark. The few niggling things with how we'd like to see being able to reset some of the electronics, like that a little bit better. But again, these are small things that most people really aren't going to care too much about. Solid value. This car is an EXL model. No navigation, but just about every other option in it, and it's going to sticker in at $27,000, or just under $27,000. We'll annotate the exact number below. So all in all, it's a really good car, solid effort by Honda. My favorite in the class, no, still continues to be the Kia Optima and the Ford Fusion. But there's no reason that if you've chosen this car and you're looking for affirmation, that you should feel bad about it. If you're looking and you're shopping, should you put this on your list? I think you should put it on your list. Is it going to be your choice? It sort of depends on your type of personality. If you want something that's a solid car you don't have to think about, yeah, this will be high on your list. If you want something that feels a little more special, a little more sporty, the Honda Accord isn't it for you. But all in all, it's good. It's a really good car.